pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your head. Dear Lord, we come today. Please help us make great decisions for this community and help us grow this community to be strong and follow your guidance. Amen.
Let the record show that all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Camacho, who has an excused absence. We'll move on to approval of agenda. Staff, any changes or additions to this agenda?
No changes.
If no changes, I will ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Sanchez and second by Commissioner Pizer to approve the agenda. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Aye.
Heiser,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye. Move on to public comment. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wanting to address the commission only on matters not listed on this agenda. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes unless additional time is needed for translation. Please state your name and address for the record before making your presentation. Anybody in the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of minutes of our previous meeting, July 8, 2025. I need a motion, please.
My motion.
Motion by Commissioner Simmons and second by Commissioner Sanchez to approve the minutes. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Aye.
Heiser,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
and Joseph.
Aye. Move on to public hearing. Should anyone challenge any proposed action which is the subject of a public hearing listed on this agenda, that person challenging any action taken after the public hearing may be limited to raising only those issues addressed at the public hearing in this notice or in written correspondence delivered to the Planning Commission at or prior to this public hearing. We'll move on to our first public hearing, which is tentative track map number 7207, extension of time. May we have the report, please?
Good evening. Good evening, Commissioners. This presentation is regarding extension of time request for tentative track map 7207. Next slide, please. The map is located 1/3 of a mile west of Shafter Avenue between Elizabeth Avenue and West Riverside Street. The site is approximately 20 acres and currently vacant. The proposed map includes 23 single-family residential lots, ranging in size from 10,886 to 45,706 square feet. The existing zoning of the site is estate and the land use is very low density residential. The City Council originally approved the map on August 18, 2009. However, the map remained active through various extension of times granted by the state legislature and approved by City Council. The most recent extension of time was approved on June 7, 2022 by the City Council, which set the map's expiration date to August 18, 2025. Therefore, the applicant has requested an additional 2-year extension. If the extension is granted, the map would expire on August 18, 2027. This would be the second extension of time available for the map. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt Resolution 25-468, recommending the City Council approve a 2-year extension of time for tentative track map number 7207, subject to the conditions approved by the City Council on August 18, 2009, with the new expiration date of August 18, 2027. Thank you. Any questions? The second slide. Thank you. Yeah, and we have had other track maps since 2006. So just due to the hardships, the developer said it, they're ready. Yeah,
And did I read it right? They're still allowed 2 more extensions after this one?
they're allowed one more.
1 more. Okay.
This would be the second one. They're allowed 3 in total.
Any other questions, Commissioners? All right, I will now open public hearing on this item. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please give your name and address for the record. Anybody online? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. I'll need a motion to adopt resolution number 25468.
I motion.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Simmons and a second by Commissioner Sanchez to adopt resolution number 25468, recommending approval of tentative track map 7207 extension of time. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Aye.
Heiser.
Aye.
Simmons
Aye.
and Joshua.
Aye. We'll move on to our second public hearing for tentative track map number 6398, extension of time. May we have the report, please?
Thank you. This extension of time is for tentative track map number 6398. The map is located on the southwest corner of Beach Avenue and East Tulare. The site is approximately 1.54 acres and proposes 5 single-family residential lots. The existing zoning and general plan is low-density residential. And there is currently 1 home on the map, on the north corner.
Okay.
The city council originally approved the map on July 18, 2006. And the map has remained active through various extension of times granted by the state legislator and approved by city council. The most recent city council approval was the map's development agreement, which set the map's expiration date to October 1st, 2025. Therefore, the applicant has requested an additional 2-year extension. If the extension is granted, the map would expire on October 1st, 2027. And the applicant is currently working with making progress with the city engineer and the planning department. This would be the final extension of time available for this map if approved. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt resolution number 25-469, recommending that the city council approve a 2-year extension of time for tentative track map number 6398, subject to the conditions approved by the city council on July 18, 2006, with the new expiration date of October 1st, 2027. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
None here. No question.
Thank you.
I'll now open public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please give your name and address for the record. Anybody online? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. I need a motion to adopt resolution number 25469, recommending that the city council approve 2-year extension of time for tentative track map number 6398 located on the southwest corner of East Tulare Avenue and North Beach Avenue in the city of Shafter.
I motion we adopt resolution number 25-469.
I second.
Motion by Commissioner Pizer and a second by Commissioner Simmons. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Aye.
Pizer,
Aye.
Simmons,
Aye.
and Joseph.
Aye. All right, we'll now move on to our third public hearing. General Plan Amendment number 23-39 and zone change number 23-72. May we have the report, please?
Yes, Honorable Commission, welcome back. This again, last month, we continued this item, so we are bringing it forward again tonight. This is General Plan Amendment number 23-39 and zone change number 23-72 for the Cesar Chavez multifamily project located at the northeast corner of Birch Street and East Los Angeles Avenue. This is where the site is located. Go ahead, next slide. So it's a request to amend the general plan land use designation from low density residential to medium high density residential, and a change in zone classification from R1 or single family to R3 multifamily. On 8.72 acres located at the northeast corner of Birch Street and East Los Angeles Avenue. The project allows for the development of 174 multifamily units at 20 units per acre at 30, 40, 50, and 60% annual mean income. It is the concept is three-story buildings with a total square footage of 342,000 square feet. It would be built in 3 phases with 348 on-site parking spaces and 8 full access driveways. Staff has concluded that it was found to be compatible with the general plan and housing element. A mitigated negative declaration was prepared for CEQA, and the M&D reduced, through mitigation, reduced impacts of the project to a level of less than significant. As we're going to hear a little bit more from our city attorney's office, the project cannot be denied without risking a Housing Accountability Act violation. Go ahead, next slide. This just gives you a preliminary site plan for the project. Go ahead and next slide. This shows you sort of the elevations, what the buildings will look like when they are done. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Staff determined that there were a few benefits of the project. It does go towards the housing element requirement of rezoning at least 187 acres to a minimum of 20 units per acre. It provides affordable new opportunities for housing, particularly for the young and elderly. It furthers several objectives, policies, goals, and programs in the general plan land use and housing elements. And multifamily already exists adjacent to the project, and the project would be an extension of this area and not inconsistent with its surroundings. And with that, staff recommends you conduct hearing and adopt Resolution 25-465, a resolution recommending the City Council adopt the MND and approve General Plan Amendment 23-39 and Zone Change 23-72. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, Commissioner?
Any questions, John?
Lots of questions. I think we asked a lot of them last time. So are these guidelines or regulations set out by the
Oh,
state?
I actually apologize. There is a second presentation. I apologize. I kind of jumped the gun with questions. Let's go through to the second presentation that's going to be done by Henry Castillo of the City Attorney's Office, specific to the Housing Accountability Act.
Hi, good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Planning Commissioners. I'm Henry Castillo. I'm with the City Attorney's Office. I'm going to do a quick presentation on the Housing Accountability Act. I think Yasmina will be bringing it up. Can you guys see the presentation already?
Yeah, it's up here.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I'm going to do a quick presentation on the Housing Accountability Act. Hopefully answer any questions you might have. If you want to wait till the end so I can answer some questions, I think the slides will provide the answers that you guys are seeking tonight. Can we go to the next slide? So as you all know, the Housing Accountability Act is a pro-housing state law that limits local discretion. It's one of the tools that the state has, to be pretty blunt with you, has forced down to local agencies to approve housing developments. It's one of the ways that the state is trying to address the housing shortages. Um, I just want to make it clear that this isn't something that the city has in its municipal code, and it's not something that the city has too much discretion when it comes to the Housing Accountability Act. And I want to talk about some of the specific sections of the government code, just so you have a better understanding of what we're looking at. Can we go to the next slide? So this specific government code section, subsection D, provides for a builder's remedy. And that pretty much just allows developers to bypass local zoning laws and potentially build higher density, more affordable housing projects in cities that are not in compliance with their state mandated housing plans. And in order to deny any of these projects, one of the 5 findings has to be found. There has to be a compliant housing element, plus the regional housing needs allocation has been met for all income categories. That's a prerequisite. The other way to deny a Housing Accountability Act project is to find a specific adverse impact, and there has to be no feasible mitigation. So what that no feasible mitigation means, that if it's a low income project, that any of the mitigation would make it so expensive for the developer to move forward with the project that they just wouldn't be able to afford it. The other one is to comply with state or federal laws. The other one is that it's an agricultural zone and there's inadequate water or sewer. I'm going to go more into specifics with these and give you guys more detailed explanation of them in the further slides. The other one is the certified housing element that violates the general plan or the zoning code, or if there's no housing element, the site or other sites are still not enough. Next slide. So just so you understand how much the state is advocating for housing projects, so this applies to any housing project. This includes even market rate projects. If the developer turns in a complete file, once their file is deemed complete, the city has, if it's less than 150 dwellings, it has 30 days in order to comply and give the developer a reason, give either a reason or automatically approve the housing project. If it's 150 plus units, the city only has 60 days. So the city can't really delay a project or really take a deeper dive into these projects, because state law pretty much says that if a developer comes to the city, gives their file over to the city, and the city kind of tiptoes around it, then that project will be automatically deemed consistent with the general plan and approved. Some of the reasons that you can deny or reduce, of course, is the findings of a significant adverse effect and objective standards. So objective standards are pretty much anything that's quantifiable and it's a written finding. Next slide, please. So what happens if the city does not comply with the Housing Accountability Act? The court will have a court order compliance. If the city continues to violate the Housing Accountability Act, the court will pretty much HCD will take over any of the housing elements of the city. There's fines, and then of course there's attorney fees. Not just the city attorney fees, but also attorney fees for the developer's attorney or whoever brings the lawsuit against the city for not moving forward. Next slide, please. So I already talked about some of the grounds for denying a Housing Accountability Act project, but I wanted to talk a little bit more about them. So the city must make written findings supported by preponderance of the evidence in the record. And then the required findings for denial are public health or safety impact, compliance with other laws, agricultural resource preservation zones, and builder remedy circumstances. So let me talk a little bit more about these findings in the next slides. Next slide, please. So what's a specific adverse impact on public health or safety? There is no way, so it's two. So it has to be a specific adverse impact on public health or safety, and there is no way to mitigate the adverse impact other than by disproving. So one of the examples I can give you is if the project is being built on a former industrial site that is considered a brownfield, and any movement of the dirt or anything, there's no way to mitigate the pollution or whatever has been seeped into the soil, then that's a specific adverse impact. And any mitigation by the developer would just be so expensive that it wouldn't be feasible for them to develop anything on that site. And then one of the other examples for a reason for denial is state or federal law requires the local government to disapprove the project or render it unaffordable. Can we go to the next slide? The agriculture resource preservation zone. So the site has been zoned agriculture or resource preservation zone, and one of the following is true. The site is surrounded by two sites by land used for agriculture or resource preservation purposes, or the site does not have adequate water and sewer facilities. Staff has already said that this zone is this parcel of land is zoned R1, and there hasn't been any findings that there's inadequate water or sewer facilities for that project. And then one of the last reasons for denial may be that the local government has a compliant housing element and the project is inconsistent with both the local zoning ordinance and general plan, which it is not. Can we go to the next slide? So some of the important considerations to consider tonight while you debate this project is, like I said, the Housing Accountability Act just really limits local government's ability to disprove these projects and comply with this objective development standard. And being able to provide these objective standards, it can't be something that is subjective. It has to be something that is actually going to be a consequence of building that project. And as you all know, the Housing Accountability Act, it's been strengthened by the state. It's something that the state kind of looks at every year and kind of reinforces and takes away power, that local control of what can be done by the cities. And the Housing Accountability Act has been challenged many times by local governments in court, and the courts have found that it is constitutional. Can we go to the last slide? So as I just wanted to show you that HCD enforcement has increased year after year. There's a lot of local jurisdictions that have fought back and have pushed back against the Housing Accountability Act, and HCD will come knocking on the city's door if they find a reason to, which we do not want to do. So anything that you believe would any findings that you make contrary to what the staff has provided for you tonight has to comply with those findings I provided for you on reasons why the Housing Accountability Act project may be denied.
Okay.
And that pretty much concludes my presentation. I'm here if you guys have any specific legal questions.
Thank you. Henry there?
Yes, I'm here.
This is Commissioner Pizer. Thank you for that. I really appreciate you putting all that work in, telling us the law. But I mean, I don't think anybody here is against the Housing Accountability Act. I think that's what we
or no one's understanding. I think what our frustration lies on, and all you're doing and staff of Shafter is doing their job, which I really appreciate. But I think our biggest concern is this is poor planning. It has nothing to do with everything you just stated, which we appreciate. We understand the law, but it also sounds like it's a law and we have no choice. So again, I'm going to state how I stated last meeting, that there's no reason for us to be here. We have to do what we're told to do by the state of California. And I'm not sure how everybody else wants to live, but I don't want to live that way. Real quick, I wrote a small deal. I strongly oppose the zone change of number 23-72 because it imposes a cookie cutter approach that disregards the unique needs of our community while taking away our local authority and the ability of residents to shape our own neighborhoods. Meaningful progress demands solutions tailored to the city, not one-size-fits-all mandates dictated from the state of California. You yourself, Henry, said it takes away local control. Again, I appreciate the law and I appreciate what you're doing, but it sounds like a law that we have no choice on. But our concern is the planning portion of it, which is in the title of our job scope. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents on that. So.
I do have a question myself is, have we taken lessons learned from this opportunity that we've been handed and to make sure that we don't have to be in the same position moving forward? Because I know we have a whole huge communities that we're going to be building. What is our plan to mitigate us having to revisit this again and place low income in locations where they're not favorable? I guess that's my only question is, how are we learning this lesson moving forward?
I thank you for the question. Really, it comes down to we have to figure out rezoning in other areas where we have the chance before it becomes an applicant-driven application. It's a city-driven application to go and rezone. And that's something we're actually going to talk to City Council about at the next meeting. Do we do the rezoning process through the general plan update process and keep going that way? Or do we bifurcate off and do a separate rezoning process for getting areas that are 20 dwelling units per acre, where we get to choose and pick where we want to put them? Once we have a compliant housing element where we have enough sites, right now we don't have enough sites.
I know that's
And that's really what's tripping us up.
Right.
Once we have enough sites, we can say we are compliant
And then
we
have
can
that
deny.
control.
So I think it's really a matter of can we get ahead of it
Yes.
through either a rezoning process or the general update process to get those proper zones in place where we choose them, with obviously with consultation with willing property owners.
Right.
And then when someone comes in with an application like this, we can say we're already compliant.
We're compliant.
We don't have to place this here. We're just kind of in a pickle because after the housing element, which happened, a year ago, this application came in, and staff is just like any other property owner. If an application comes in,
You process.
I am compelled to process.
Yeah. No,
And so that's really, I think, our way of being able to get out of this in the future is that we have to work on that rezoning process.
Yeah, I think that's just my biggest concern is making sure that we don't have to revisit this and, God willing, some other planning commissions down the road, 20, 30 years, don't have to face the same problems.
So Steve, you're saying that you're gonna, with council, you're going to propose, hey, should we put this in our general plan? Is that what, like?
No, I'm going to propose, we're already working on the general plan update. And I was hoping that our rezoning, because when you change your general plan designations, you have to be consistent with your zoning ordinance. So if you change your general plan, you're also changing your zoning. So, but that's probably about a 2-year process.
Yeah.
My question I'm going to ask them at the next meeting is, do you want me to start a rezoning process faster than that? Where maybe, perhaps, hopefully, I can do it quicker than through the general plan update process.
And why did we, and I hate to ask this question, but why not prior to this happening? It just wasn't, we didn't foresee it.
Well, right after we got the housing element, I started working on the general plan.
Okay.
Yeah, but general plans, they're large vision documents. It takes a lot of outreach. It just takes time. It just takes time. And right after this came out, the housing element came out, we were working on this application.
Yeah. Okay.
If this did
And
go,
this is Steve from CCF. What we could also do, what we did in other cities, is increase it to the highest density, so you guys get the credit, but yet not build to that higher density, and then impose conditions that we need to have charrettes and all that, design charrettes. So there is additional community feedback to the project before it gets approved through city council or something like that. You could impose that on us.
If we made it higher density, then, I mean, sorry, you say a lower density or higher density?
You could do a higher. What we've done is we do a higher density, right? So we zone it for an R4, which kind of
We do
takes
not have
hey,
an
we
R4
could.
zone. We do not have an
Okay,
R4 zone. This is the highest density we have.
Okay, well, never mind then. I was trying to see if there's a higher density we could kind of help out, like say, yeah, we're going to do 1,000, but we're really going to build,
And,
500 or something.
and what I will say is that if this is recommended for approval, it'll go to the council. If the council approves, it stays at the staff level. But what we have done and put into the staff report is that we will include the police. We'll go through site plan review. Every
Yeah.
project
Oh,
goes
yeah,
through
yeah,
site
yeah,
plan
yeah.
review. Building, engineering, planning, public works. We all have our say in it. We've added another layer to this one where we also do a defensible space review
Yeah.
in coordination with our police department to make sure that, you don't have blind corners, you have ample lighting, you have proper gating and the ability for ingress, egress safely, where we can keep, where people can be, where it's a closed gate kind of a situation. But charrettes, things of that nature are not going to occur. Once it's approved if it's approved by the council, it goes through staff level site plan review, and it would not come back to either the planning commission or the council. I want to be clear because that is our process.
I mean, my standing on it is more moral than anything as far as the law goes. We're being forced things down our throat that we have no control over. I get the future and planning for the future, which we're doing with the general plan. And that's the way I would perceive Shafter growing, is how its own community members want it to grow. And that, like you said, is going to take a couple of years to do that at least. So in the meantime, what prevents any property owner from, or anyone else from buying property all over the city and then doing the same thing with the zone change here, where our hands forced at approving the zone change? That's my take on it. Plus, the owner here said in the previous meeting that the land would probably be for sale after the zone change. So now are we talking about what's better for the community, or are we talking about what's better for finances? Because you're going to get more money out of a piece of property for apartments than you would residential. Other takes on it, I worked law enforcement for 27 years prior to retiring, and I've seen the complex he talked about at Potomac in California, and I spent the majority of my time in that apartment complex. So when we talk about safety, that's going to be very important. I'm sure the police in our city know all about that. And if you've worked in larger cities where these complexes are all over the place, you find blind corners, you find gated communities where you can't get in at a proper time, and it's just the nature of the beast, where the amount of crime is higher in those communities. So do we want to plan where we can mitigate that by mixing it in with other types of community or other types of housing? Or do we want this just to pop up and we have no control over it? From my standpoint, I wish that would have been done prior to these meetings, to hear a report from the police chief or from his staff on that. I just wrote some quick notes down. We're talking about the safety of our residents as well. This is going to turn Los Angeles Avenue into a lot busier thoroughway. So we've already had environmental justice impact group on us about Lerdo Highway, the amount of truck traffic there. Now we're increasing traffic on Los Angeles Avenue. It's a 2-lane highway right now. across the street is almond orchards and farming, which is gonna increase the dust and ag spray as well for those residents. So have they considered that and where that's placed at? You know, like I said, I wish we could wait for the general plan to take effect. 'Cause I think we are showing our intentions on growing and mixing that with the wonderful complex, throwing the high density or medium density housing into the mix with all the other residential housing. It's just, you know, it's easy to go by the law, but the people that are talking to us and giving us advice are people that don't live in our community. And the people making the decisions at the state don't live in our community. So it's easy to take control to meet numbers when it's not affecting you. I'm sure if they lived right next to this project, they would be setting an audience as well.
Same way.
And I get the money, I get risking us a litigation. But how do you think those people living around the area that disapprove of the project, how do you think they feel? You know, so now we're just taking people's emotions and their willingness to live here and buy a $400,000 home in the city, and we're just kind of tossing it to the side in hopes that we're gonna change things in the future. I get it, I understand what's going on, but that doesn't mean that I don't have the will to fight against it or will approve it.
John, what you said, 100% agree. But what you're talking about is planning, which the state of California is not allowing us to do. That's my biggest bother.
You know, I
You know what I mean? You're talking, all that stuff was about planning. You're trying to plan and we're not even allowed to do it. So that is where I'm hung up here and I'm disgusted, to be honest with you. And I know staff is doing the best they can. I know city attorney's doing the best they can, and they're looking at the fiscal responsibility that they have to, and I appreciate that. It's a hard one, but we have no choice. So, so good job, everybody. Good job, state of California. I applaud you. It's disgusting in my eyes. Anyway. I don't know. What do you guys do?
I totally agree with the work the city's put in, the city staff, the attorney. I'm not questioning that at all. And it's easy to say we can vote people out of office to change the law, but then the reality of the things, can we do that? And that takes time, and where are we gonna be at in that time? So do we take a stand and risk litigation and, or do we not? That's kind of, and I'm not asking anyone's opinion on that tonight. It's just, we have to make a decision one way or the other, and
Yeah, I agree.
it's nothing personal with anybody.
Steve?
Hey, Steve, would I know in the past we've had cities impose conditions like kind of run it by the police task force and all these different task forces to get comments prior to submitting a site plan for a real site plan, not just this a zone change, that we have like conditions that are applied to us to look into. Is that something possible that might, that gives some weight to the commission?
If you're acquiescing to it, sure. Is Cesar Chavez Foundation acquiescing to the ability for the city to impose additional conditions beyond our objective standards? Are you agreeing to that?
Yeah, well, in terms of like for police, like open space, like physical protection of even our residents, right? So, I think we're open to it, but not to a point where, they deny, but to help meet somewhere in the middle,
Well,
like design criteria, like whatever the specific design criteria for that area is, and we have to follow that pattern. So it's not like the new homes are like they're brownish off-white and we build like a pink standout that we have to at least kind of mesh with their.
Steve, can I jump in really quick?
Yes,
This isn't the meeting to talk about that at all. Like, we're only talking
Okay.
about the zoning change. So any additional conditions or anything would be when you come back for design review. And this is only for the general plan amendment. So this is completely
Okay.
off topic.
Okay, sorry.
And I believe public comment is not open yet, right?
No, it's not.
No, we haven't opened the hearing yet. This was just questions from the dais.
Okay, thank you.
Kind of went off on a tangent with that, but is there any rights on the property owner to delay the zoning request for reports that he talked about?
Is there any,
Does he have, would he be able to delay the zoning request on his end, on Cesar Chavez Foundation end? If they made that on the record, they would be willing to deny pending reports from the police department on safety or other issues.
I think I defer to the city attorney's office. That seems like a point of law.
Yeah, it just, this isn't the right, so we're talking about the zoning change. Anything beyond that would be completely out of subject for the meeting tonight. I understand the frustration, but it's only because once they come back with the sign review and all that, that's when the planning commission can actually impose more conditions on the developer, and the developer will accept them. But tonight we're only talking about the code, the zoning change.
So is this Henry that's talking?
Yeah, it's Henry, sorry.
No, it's okay. Thanks, Henry. So I totally understand where you're coming from. So are we gonna have, so I'm afraid of restrictions now. You're telling me this, right? You're telling me we're gonna have choices that we're able to be made on planning and you know, how the building's gonna look, which I'm used to in construction, obviously. There's not something that we should be worried about to where, hey, by the way, no, we get to do what we want. We're gonna have another one of those, you know, those scenarios or those cases to where we're told what to do again, because that's my fear. Do we actually get to do our job?
Yeah, so tonight you're only looking at the general plan amendment and the zone change. But then later on, once they do come back with the actual design of the buildings and all that, that's completely different. That's completely outside of the realm of the Housing Accountability Act.
I understand it's different. Totally understand it's different. But is there something that we're unaware of, like we were with this? Is there something that we're unaware of where, hey, we have no say in the design, in the building, and in, you know, is there something we're unaware of? That's my concern, because
No, as of right now, that's one part where the state has not gone in and told cities, you cannot design buildings the way you want. That's where you, as the planning commission, still has that authority, and the state hasn't said anything beyond approval of these type of projects. But once it comes to the actual design of the projects and all that, that's completely different, and that's outside of the Housing Accountability Act.
okay, all right.
So the Housing Accountability Act just really deals with the density.
Yeah, and I understand the Housing Accountability Act. Again, that's, I don't think, what we're frustrated with. You know, we understand that we need a certain amount, but
Correct.
yeah, I appreciate you letting us know. I just don't want something to pop up and say, hey, you know, by the way, we're doing this and you have no say on this part of the design or this part of the parking or this part, you know. Go ahead, Steve.
What I would say is there's things called objective standards, the engineering design manual, the California building code, our zoning ordinance and the requirements of the zoning ordinance. We would make them adhere to all of those requirements. Additionally, as I said in the staff report, we're going to make them go through a defensive space design review as well. So that's going to be the way. It's really going to be at the staff level. There is really no mechanism in our zoning ordinance for a design review to come back to you guys.
Again, I know all
Yeah.
the engineering stuff. I understand all that. My point is there something in the nature with the design that we are going, is there something of the unknown that we've never dealt with before?
I think what he's saying is we got caught with our pants down once. Is there anything else that we're forward looking to make sure that this, again, doesn't happen in any other capacity?
I know that the state building code, I mean, I understand that
Yeah.
that's how it's gonna happen, but that doesn't mean that there's somewhere that we don't know that they can get rid of. There's state of California. It's the state building code, you know, so they already, you know.
Yeah.
Well, are they
did
gonna
that, so.
say that something's financially impossible for them as far as planning goes? If we throw plans out there and they're gonna say this is gonna costs too much money to build this, you can't do that.
Well, let's do it and hopefully.
Yeah,
it'll-
what happens if they can't afford to do this at the end? And now we have an argument.
Well, that's for them to decide whether they can afford it or not. So long as they adhere to the objective standards,
Yeah.
it's approved. If they don't meet the objective standards, then we give them, a first check letter. I mean, you've gone
Yeah,
through
yeah,
building,
yeah.
hey, you got to change this. Hey, you're not compliant here. Hey, you're too tall there. This is built wrong there.
Yeah.
You don't have enough parking there.
Yeah.
You need more landscaping here.
Which is black and white, which I
Yeah.
appreciate, but this black and white got in, there was no black and white with this that we were aware of. But I think what Henry's saying is, and what we all need to realize that this is about the zone change. That this could maybe never happen. This could maybe never move on. We don't know what's going to happen. And Henry's right in that way. But I guess we have a fear, Henry, that now we have this fear in us that we were hired to do a position of planning that we are not allowed to do, which I'll beat that into the ground. So anyway.
Any more questions, commissioners?
No questions. Thank you.
All right, I'll now open, public hearing on this item. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this item? If so, please give your name and address for the record. Anybody online?
Hi, this is Steve Hernandez again with the Cesar Chavez Foundation. I think working with your staff, they're very diligent and kind of express the needs and wants and the indications of what the planning commission and also council what they want, and we'll be willing to work with together as a team because they're going to be partners and neighbors for the duration as we own the building. So, like we'll have like these design stuff that we could kind of talk about a little bit more. So, because I know the state has already passed a couple of other like kind of where they're taking the policing power of building and planning away from cities and heading to themselves, like which SB 35, SB 33. So that's kind of something that we could talk together and make sure we implement what the city envisions in terms of your consolidation of your plan or specific plans.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Anybody else in the public? Seeing none, I'll close public hearing. All right, I'll need a motion to adopt resolution number 25465.
I motion we adopt resolution number 25-465.
My second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Heiser and a second by Simmons. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Nay.
Heiser,
Aye.
Simmons. and
Aye.
Aye. All right, we'll move on to commission reports. Any reports, commissioners? All right. Being no further business to come before the planning commission, I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, this meeting is adjourned at 6:49.